Now this is the first interesting visual I came up with. The title says the desire to move back to home country, that is India in this case, varies with age. So the question was, do you want to move back to India? And you can see the responses from top to bottom, yes and until no. So you can see all these colors, different colors represent those responses. So you see three horizontal bars here from top to bottom for three different age groups: 25 to 34, 35 to 44, and 45 to 54. So what is our observation? If you look at the highlighted segment on top right, so for the age group 25 to 34, you can see almost 46% of people from this age group said that they want to move back to India. Now, as we move downwards to the 45 to 54 age group, the same number now rises to 57%, that is 33 plus 24. So 57% of people from this age group, the higher age group, said that they want to move back to India. So you can see that the desire to move back to India has changed with age. However, the contributing factor, as you can see, is the blue segment. So the blue segment is now the largest for the 45 to 54 age group. Blue segment says people want to move back after retirement. So we can conclude that as we are closer to retirement, we actually want to stay put for now and want to move back to India after we get retired. The next one, we adapt to the lifestyle here in US as the years go passing by. So we are looking at responses to the same question. The question was, do you want to move back to India? So the colors still represent the same responses. However, there are four different horizontal bars now, one for each of the categories on the left. So the categories are, or they represent how many years have people spent here in the US. So there's one bar for people who have spent less than 5 years. There is another one for people who have spent 5 to 10 years, and so on. Here is the observation. So when you look at people who have lived in the US for 5 years or less, as you can see, top row, only 20% said they do not want to move back to India. If you keep moving downwards, you can see this number now rises to 53%. When talking about the people who have lived in the US for 20 years or more, 53%, a huge number, you can see the majority, said they do not want to move back to India. So what I concluded was that as we continue to live here in US, we adapt to the lifestyle, we get used to it, or we start enjoying the lifestyle, and we do not want to move back to the home country anymore. Or the desire to move back to home country is no longer the same as it used to be a while ago. So out of people who have lived in the US for 5 to 10 years now, 40% of people in that category said they are confused or undecided about the response. So this proportion is highest among all the categories. And you can see as we move to the right, again people are able to see clearly. So you can see the dust settles, and now we are again able to determine what we want. Having kids matters, obviously, and so does the relationship status. So when I was creating this visual, I also looked at the visual for relationship status, and they are both very similar. So my observation is a much larger proportion of people who have kids want to move back compared to people who do not have kids. So look at the highlighted segment now, the one enclosed in this red box. You can see on the right, so people who have kids, 39, 3 and 10, they all correspond to the response yes. So yes, they want to move back to India now, or they want to move back only temporarily, or they want to move back after retirement. So 52% of people in that category on the right against 36% of people in the category on the left. It's a big difference. So what I concluded was, if you look at this orange segment now, I have highlighted that. So those with kids, that is those on the right, are somewhat less confused or undecided about this response or this choice. Only 31% against 40% of those who do not have kids. So when I created the visual for relationship status, I noticed that those who are married want to move back and are less confused or undecided compared to all others, I mean to everybody else in different relationship status. So this was the question in the survey. What's stopping you from moving back? So as you can see, there are so many people who said no, they do not want to move back, or people who said yes, they want to move back, but again they are not moving back right now. So these were the possible responses, and clearly salary or earnings, you can see the pink bubble that stands out, is the primary reason why most of the people are not moving back right now. You can also see there are other responses among the top 5: job opportunities, work culture, kids education, green card. I could have allowed multiple uh, responses, but my assumption was everybody would chase more or less the similar responses and nothing would stand out. Like now you can see one clearly at the top. Another direct question from the survey: what's always on our mind? I mean, why do we want to move back? And on the top left, you can see all the options or choices for this question. And one clearly stands out. Parents or other family connections is the primary reason why most of the people would like to move back. As in the last visual, you could see there are others among the top 5. These are issues, culture, comforts, and there is a good number of people for whom this question was not applicable because they do not want to move back, and that's why you see a big light blue bubble saying not applicable. What stops us from moving back today might not be relevant tomorrow, or might be less relevant tomorrow. So the question was, what's stopping you from moving back? And we all saw that one of the responses clearly stands out, which was salary or earnings. So what are we looking at right now? If you look at this highlighted segment, so as we saw, a majority of people said salary or earnings is the primary reason why they are not moving back right now. So we are looking at that response for people who have lived in the US for less than 5 years, for 5 to 10 years, for 10 to 20 years, or for more than 20 years. So those are the 4 columns. So you can clearly see salary or earnings, though it's the top choice when looking at all the responses, but it becomes less relevant after one has lived in the US for a longer time. So for the first category, people who have lived in the US for 5 years or less, this was the most chosen response. When we move to the right, there are other responses as well which were chosen by people. As you can see, with time, kids education and work culture, they also become relevant, or you can say more relevant. uh, Clearly looking at the rightmost column, people who have lived in the US for 20 years or more, you see kids education is now the primary reason why they do not want to move back. And the same is true for work culture and even infrastructure. So other factors become more relevant than what was relevant a while ago. So we visit our home country, India, more often if we desire to move back for good. Same question. Do you want to move back to India? We are looking at only 3 responses. And what is the observation? If you recall, I had a question on the survey. When did you last visit India? And the responses were within 1 year, 1 to 3 years, 3 to 5 years, or more than 5 years. So you can see I have highlighted this top row. So all the people who said yes, they want to move back to India. Now, what we conclude going from left to right is a major proportion of people who visited India as recently as within the last 1 year, they want to move back to India. That is the top left yellow segment. And you can see as they move towards the right, a lesser number of people have chosen yes, they want to move back to India. So I could relate these two different responses together. So you could read it in another way. So if you want to move back to India, that is, if you chose yes to that question, there are good chances that you visit India frequently. Now, those who haven't visited India for a while, it is for more than 3 years, 3 years or more, would rather stay back here in US. So those people have chosen no, as you can see, the red one in the category is 3 to 5 years or more. Those who are not moving back due to higher salary or earnings are also the ones who actually want to move back. I'm sure this is confusing. Let's look at it again. So this is what we call a heat map. We are looking at responses to two different questions. On the left, uh, the column, the responses are to the question, do you want to move back to India? You are already familiar with this one now that we have seen it a couple of times. In the top row, the responses are to the question, uh, what is stopping you from moving back? And you clearly saw in some other visuals that salary or earnings is the most chosen response. I mean, why are we not moving back today? Now I'm highlighting the first row of different shades of blue. So most of the people, we all know a lot of people said salary or earnings is the reason we do not want to go back today, right? Most of the people who chose salary as the reason also said that they want to move back to India. So if you look at the darkest blue segment up there, it clearly aligns with the response, yes, we want to move back to India. So what, uh, I hope you get it. I know I tried uh, my best to explain. So people who have chosen salary as the primary reason they want to stay here, a majority of people from that category also said they want to move back to India. So this is definitely not a factor which is gonna hold us here for a long time. Another question from the survey. Do you expect a better standard of living in India if and when you return? This question was not applicable to everyone, but as you saw in the first or second visual when I started this video, you can see a lot of people said yes, they expect a better standard of living when they return. Now we are looking at responses to three different questions. Not one, not two, three of them. In the left, that's the row, the leftmost column, you see responses to the question, do you want to move back to India? In the top rows, first row and the second row, you see responses to the question, do you expect a better standard of living in India? And the second question, how long have you lived in US? Now I want you to look at the top row, and then I want you to focus on this top right shades of gray segment. So what we are looking at here is most of the people who said they expect a better standard of living in India and they also want to go back. Those people have lived in the US for less than 10 years, so less than 5 or 5 to 10. As the years go by, the standard of living in US actually works out better. If you can see the top right highlighted blue segment, so the shades are now lighter on the right. So this was the last visual. I hope I was able to do justice to all the responses, all the data I got. I was totally able to relate to many of them, and those visuals helped me look at the bigger picture here, what I couldn't see by just looking at the responses. I did this survey because we get a lot of such posts in the group, and I thought, why not do a survey and see what the majority of people are saying, and I kept it anonymous one. I wanted to see clear responses, and that's all I have got today. So I'm going to do more similar relevant surveys in future, and I will try to create similar visuals as well. If you liked this video, do click like on YouTube, write your comments, share the video. You can subscribe to the channel, is the same name, Indian Expats in USA. You can join the Facebook group if you are not a member. I will leave a link in the description. Thank you.